Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's time for another Sunday night live stream show. That's right, it's Sunday night, y'all, and it's time for another one of these live stream shows here at Hubbard's Marina Studios. Hopefully, you guys are ready for a great night and a good time talking fishing and covering all things fishing. And we got a great show lined up for you tonight with lots of cool information and lots of cool photos and more. So sit back, relax, grab a drink, and get comfortable because the live show is on. Want to give a shout out to those of you who have sent stars while we were getting ready to get started here tonight. Larry White, D Beers with 1,000 stars, Nick Nieves with 1,200, Jim Evans, Christine Mathis, Thomas Kinnemand, and also Craig Robinson and Nick Nieves again, Rick Rogers with 1,000 stars, Richard Blasak, appreciate you, man. Tagwin Stockdale, hopefully everybody is having a good night. So appreciate those stars. Big, huge way to show your support for us here at Hubbard's Marina, and super appreciated for sure. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't had a chance to get over there to Gator Jim's, definitely do so. Tell them your friends at Hubbard's Marina sent you. They'll give you a free gift for any young anglers with you if you do mention Hubbard's Marina. Great tackle shop over there. They got tons and tons of really cool stuff and a big selection, and they have absolutely killer deals. So definitely check out our friends over at Gator Gyms. And then also want to give a special shout out to all our supporters out there watching tonight, and those of you who couldn't make it for the main show but are going to join us for the supporters after show. Definitely check out the supporters group. Just put the link in the comments there on our Facebook feed. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's only $4.99 a month, and it gives you behind the scenes access, gives you access to our private supporters page, and gives you access to that private after show where we talk for another 20, 30, 40 minutes all about what you guys want to hear, and it's a little bit more one-on-one, and you get a lot more behind the scenes information and a little better access to myself and a lot of our captains and crew. So definitely a cool opportunity for, again, only $4.99 a month. So check it out. The supporters group is a huge way to show your support and get some really cool, unique, customized benefits. Also, don't forget to comment where you're watching from. Tell us where you're watching from. Make sure you like the video for us. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. Like the video on Facebook. Don't only comment, but also make sure you like it for us. We appreciate it. And then on Instagram, if you're watching on Instagram, you can go over to you can go to your phone's browser, look up Instagram.com, and then turn the phone sideways, and you'll see the full screen. Makes it a lot easier to, instead of just seeing the very middle of the screen, you can see the full screen if you're watching on your phone's browser through Instagram.com. Also, don't forget, we're going to be giving away free trips tonight. We're going to be showing you what we've been catching, what's coming up, talking a little bit about the weather, and answering your questions live during the show. If you do want your questions answered live during the show, you have to text in your question to the phone number right here. Also, if you're picked as one of those lucky winners tonight during the show, you have 5 minutes or less to prove you're watching live by texting us your full home address here. So let's say we do one of those free giveaways and your name is drawn. You got 5 minutes or less to text us at this phone number. That way we can prove you're watching live, because not only do you have to comment one time on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream in order to be eligible to win, but then you have to watch the show live, and then if you're picked as one of those lucky winners, you have to then comment or you have to text us real quickly to prove you're watching live by texting us your full home phone number right there. All right, so with that, let's go ahead and get into some of these photos and show you guys what we've been catching. We're going to talk about photos, or we're going to show you the photos, talk about what we've been catching. We're going to talk a little bit about the weather. Then we're going to get a call from our friend, Captain Mike Anderson, give us a little update, a little bit more in depth on what's going on inshore. Then we're going to work our way nearshore and offshore and talk to our friend Captain Frank Batchelor a little bit about nearshore fishing and what we've been seeing on those 5 and 10 hour trips. And I know this morning we talked to Captain, who was it this morning? Captain Garrett. No, wait. It was Captain Dave this morning. We talked to Captain Dave and then Captain Joe on the morning video. So hopefully you caught this morning's video and caught the rundown from that 44-hour full moon trip. And then also, hopefully you caught the little segment there at the end of that video with Captain Joe talking a little bit about the 12-hour extreme trip and the 12-hour night snapper trip. But we'll get into that a little bit more here during the show as well. Daniel Lucero, appreciate those stars. Tim Dykes with 600. Thank you so much. Craig Robinson again. Thank you guys for those stars. If you're watching on YouTube, Trovo, Twitch, Instagram, the stars are just a way for people on Facebook to show your support. And if you're watching on one of our many other Facebook channels, you can send stars through the Hubbard's Marina page. If you're watching on the Captain Dylan Hubbard page, the Smokey and Dusty Show page, you can't send stars through those pages. Last week, we had some people watching on the Captain Dylan Hubbard page. They got a little frustrated. They couldn't send stars. So I wanted to make sure we make that announcement. You do have to be on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page or the Real Animals Facebook page in order to send stars. David Landsteiner, appreciate those stars. Thank you so much, buddy. All right, so let's get into the photos, show you guys what we've been catching inshore, and then we'll work our way a little deeper. So inshore, we've been seeing a lot of those redfish as of late. Redfish action been going real well up against the mangrove shorelines and around the dock lines. A lot of hot water, a lot of hot temperatures has made those fish kind of seek shade. Just like you and I in mid-afternoon, you don't want to go out there in the hot sun and just bake. You have to kind of look for those shaded areas and look for some reprieve for the sun. And that's what those redfish are doing too, getting up underneath those mangrove shorelines, dock lines, bridges, and looking for some reprieve from the hot water and hot sun. So look for those shaded areas where water is moving, and you got those little deeper pockets, gives a little bit cooler temperature. And just a degree or two of difference, a degree or two colder or cooler, I should say, is all they really need to go from kind of lethargic and slow to all of a sudden reinvigorated and moving more quickly. You can see standing behind our good friend Dylan here. That's actually his name too, by the way. Behind our good friend Dylan here is a little pass, a little cut. That means moving water. You got moving water. When water moves, it concentrates. You get higher dissolved oxygen contents, and the fish get turned on a little bit. They get excited. It breathes some more life into those fish. Paul Evans, David Martin, appreciate those stars. Thank you, guys. Another example right here, a little cut right behind them, mangroves, giving a little bit of shade from the sun. Right here, fishing dock lines. You can see that the trend continues. So in every photo we've seen has been a little cut, mangroves, or dock lines. Every single photo so far inshore. Pretty steady kind of trend you can pick up on. Snook action's been going well out on the beaches, around the passes, dock lines, bridge lines, or bridge is, I should say. Jetty early morning around John's Pass, around the bridge. Bridge lights, dock lights have been hot. Trout, edges of the flats, potholes, little cuts. Deeper flats have been key. There's some deeper flats there at the entrance to Tampa Bay that have been going well for these trout. Also around dock lights and bridge lights at night. We've been seeing a lot of trout too. This morning, Dan Black, appreciate those stars, man. Paul Evans, David Martin. As I was saying this morning, we actually saw quite a good number of snook concentrated in the pass. I caught 2 snook this morning, and let me tell you a story real quick. It was comical to me because every day, even myself, still learning, still evolving, still honing skills. It was comical on our radio show this past Saturday. Hopefully you caught the radio show. If you missed it, one thing we talked about was, I think it was probably Thursday morning, I was out there fishing and fishing behind, or fishing in the slip of the Florida fishermen. So mornings that the 39-hour trip is coming back, Sunday morning, Thursday morning, Tuesday morning, a lot of times the boat will be kind of coming in a little slower, or I might get down there a little earlier because I want to make sure that I beat the boat down. And the slip is empty. A lot of light is shining in that slip, and the snooks stack up. So what'll happen is, when possible, I'll try to get out there and throw some lines. So Thursday morning, I was fishing, and I've learned if I use too light of leaders, I'll get broke off real easy. Whereas I'll bump up the leader, and if I do hook up, I am much more likely and more successful at landing the fish. So I've been using like 50 to 60 pound leaders and a big shrimp and like a 2 to 3/0 hook, and it works really well to catch those snook. But because of the hot weather lately, around July 4th every year, the shrimp get really small, and they don't start getting bigger again until the water starts to cool off a little bit. So we have really small shrimp, and we are catching pinfish at such a crazy rate, and the water is so hot, it's really difficult to keep pinfish at the dock. And because we're catching them so fast and we're having trouble finding big ones, it's really tough to get a good looking pinfish that has been sitting at the dock all night that still looks good. Because most of the time we bring our pinfish in right before a trip goes. We load them right onto the boat, and they're not really sitting in the wells this time of year because the water's too hot for them to do that. They just don't look good if we do that. So we keep them out in deep water until we are ready to load them on the boat, and then we bring them in fresh and put them right on the boat. So shrimp are small, pinfish are kind of tough to come by as well. So I've been using lures, and Thursday morning throwing a mirror lure, Mirrodine XL, kind of a dark green back, silver body, kind of mimicking a greenback is my favorite lure. And I've done really well with that lure around the dock historically, but I just wasn't getting them. They weren't even looking at it. And Smokey's making fun of me. He's like, "You're never going to catch one with that." And I'm like, "Dude, I have. This works." But I couldn't even get a fish to look at it Thursday. So whatever, gave up. Boat's coming in. Didn't get a lot of time. So I'm talking about this Saturday on the radio show, and it was really comical. My co-host, Captain Bobby Woodard of Fly 'em High Charters says, and I quote, this is a very simple quote that has really resonated with me. Because again, I was using 50 pound to 60 pound leader, and he said, and I quote, "You can't break a fish off that you didn't hook." So I'm using 50 pound test to make sure I don't break a fish off, but I couldn't hook them because I was using too heavy a leader. So you can't break a fish off that you don't hook. So I was like, all right, that means something. So he was saying basically use a smaller leader, get them biting, and then if you break off, maybe you bump it up in leader size. So I was like, all right, that was very wise. And then Captain Scott Moore calls in, and he was like, well, if they're not biting lures, they're probably going to bite that live bait. So this morning, dead set on my mirror lure, Mirrodine XL. I know this lure works. I've caught a lot of fish on it. The snook love it around the dock. So I went down to a 30-pound leader on that same lure, and I was like, I'm going to get them to chew now. I'm using a lighter leader, same thing. Not really looking at the lure. They're just 2 leader shy around the dock right now. Water's real clear. There's a lot of small bait around the dock. I'm using a bigger lure, so probably too big of a lure too bright around there. So I went and tried to find the biggest shrimp I could find. I spent 5 minutes going through the shrimp tank. The boat's running late, so I hand pick out the biggest shrimp I can find, which are still pretty small because this time of year. So, and then instead of a 3-pound or a 2 to 3-aught hook, I got a little 1-aught hook in 30-pound leader. So 30-pound leader, 1-aught hook, smaller shrimp. Cast it out there right on the edge of that light line and smashed it. I had 3 shrimp, caught 2 snook. On my 3rd shrimp, I would have caught a 3rd snook. I would have gone 3 for 3, but Captain Joe distracted me. He was talking to me, and I got a nice bite, and I swung too early on him. I didn't let him get it in his mouth. Those snook come up, and they slurp the shrimp, and you feel the thud. And if you set the hook too quick, a lot of times they're still slurping that fish in. You got to let the line get slurped in, and then you can set the hook real tight with that circle hook. I made the amateur move. I was getting cocky on that 3rd shrimp. I felt the line get tight. That was the snook swallowing the shrimp, and I just set the hook a little too quickly. And circle hooks, that doesn't work. So I pulled it away from them. So I was 2 for 3. But long story short, dialing back the leader, dialing into what they're feeding on, which was surface crustaceans. They were feeding on the crabs, the pass crabs. They're feeding on the shrimp, swiping through the pass. So observing what's going on and observing the size shrimp going by, I matched the hatch, and I lightened up the leader, lightened up the hook for the smaller bait, and ingredients came together for a successful catch. But they weren't very big because it wasn't a very big bait. Brandy Hartung, appreciate those 500 stars. Randy Hunter, Ryan Kelly, appreciate those stars as well. Thank you guys. With that, we're going to get into our offshore photos real quick and try to show you what we've been catching offshore. Big gag grouper right there. This one was 39.11 pounds. If I remember correctly. Our friend David Pruitt from Atlanta landing this monster gag grouper. Tim Gaines, Anthony Barnes, appreciate those stars. A lot of nice red grouper, gag grouper lately. Been doing pretty well on the gags. It was a little soft there around the full moon. We had some pretty rough, rainy weather. Not rough weather, but it was rainy, and a lot of thunderstorms made things a little tougher. And lack of wind, lack of current, lack of anchor heading made for a little bit of a struggle, but we got right back on the gags on the backside of that full moon. The mangrove snapper bite has been steady. We've been catching some nice mangroves offshore on the 39 hours, 12-hour streams, but also the 12-hour night trip had a great trip. This past Friday, they caught 150 mangrove snapper. They just did really, really well. A few guys did extremely well. You can see Wayne here. He is a mangrove snapper whisperer. This is him on the 39-hour trips. And then this is him on that 12-hour night snapper trip. Caught a real nice fat red, or mangrove snapper, We've been catching a few hogfish on our 5 and 10-hour trips. Not a ton of them, but we've been catching a few here. I think today's 5-hour trip with Captain Joe brought home 3 nice keeper hogfish. So they're around still too. We are catching some mahi. This is a pretty good size mahi from our 12-hour extreme trips. We've been seeing a few of those mahi around. Some nice red grouper. The family out there, brother and sister tag team this red grouper. Nice fat one on the 12-hour private fishing charters aboard the Flying Hub 2. Here's a unique looking 39-hour red grouper. This one was really odd shaped. It looked like it had been like maybe bitten at one point, and it kind of had a deformed kind of head growth to it. But he sure was a fat red grouper. Nice red snapper too, of course. Red snapper season still going on until end of day, August 18th. A lot of people are confused about red snapper season. That continues until end of day, August 18th for us here at Hubbard's Marina. So we have until the end of day, August 18th, to catch and keep red snapper. There is a nice catch and release red snapper. Unfortunately, the Sharks got the best of this guy. Estelle Wolfman, one of our lady anglers of Hubbard's Marina, got a nice red snapper and unfortunately had to give it back to the Sharks. But we've been doing well out there. Dead bait has been king of the coop. Big strips of bonita, big octopus, the Boston mackerel chunks, the mullet, all been working really well out there for red snapper. But also some nice big gag grouper too. So great time to get out there and take advantage of the hot bait or hot bite and hot bait of dead bait, big dead baits to be exact. As far as weather is concerned, want to get into the weather here real quick. Don't forget, you can go to hubbardsmarina.com, click Fishing Trips, scroll down to the weather links page on our Fishing Trips menu there, and it brings you to this weather links page. We're going to always start off with our wind finder forecast, the 5 and 10 hour trip area. You can see quickly from the top, there's nothing to worry about, nothing to really see here that is concerning. It's going to be a little bit elevated the next 2 days, Sunday and Monday, but not too bad. 10 to 15, basically, less than 2 foot seas. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, into Saturday, less than 1 foot. And then end of next weekend looks like it might pick up a little bit, but still pretty moderate. Nothing more than 2 foot for the next 9 days as far as the inshore forecast is concerned, which is absolutely spectacular. Very hot though. Keep in mind, this moderate weather means high temperatures. Offshore going to be a little bit bumpy, but not bad. Sunday and Monday, or today is Sunday, so Monday they're calling for 2 foot. It's about as bad as it gets around here right now for overall forecasts. Really nice conditions all the way through the foreseeable future. We do get these little thunderstorms out there. There's been a lot of rain kind of rolling through, especially offshore, off the coast. We're dealing with it more. So expect some showers, some scattered showers. They're really hard to forecast. They just kind of roll through unexpectedly. And it's one of those things. We have a radar system on the boat that we use to try to detect and move around storms. But it's the state of Florida. Sometimes they're unavoidable. So just keep that in mind. We do the best to avoid them, but sometimes they are unavoidable. But all our boats do have coverings. The bigger boats obviously have the air conditioning closed cabin. Flying Hub 2 has a nice bimini top, so you can kind of get out of the elements to a degree, but it is going to be potentially a chance for rain on all of these trips. But overall, not a lot of wind, not a lot of weather, no seas, as you can see, so should be a great next 10 days or so to get out there. The end of the month is what we're going to be looking at for potential for some nastier weather around the end of July into early August. Remember, National Hurricane Center has forecasted like 10 to 15 named storms in the Atlantic, and we've had, I think, 2, if that. I don't even know off the top of my head, but we haven't had that many. So it's going to be a very active end to hurricane season. Most likely August, September, October, we'll see some pretty decent storm activity. So just keep that in mind. We have a lot to look out for, and we have a positive MJO for the end of the month into early August. That is going to potentially lead to more conducive tropical development. Tim Gaines, Anthony Barnes, appreciate those stars, guys. Thank you so much. Also, we saw Scott Flynn there with some stars, too. Thank you very much, y'all. And we've got Captain Mike Anderson on the line. How you doing tonight, Cap Mike? You there, buddy?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear us?
I got you.
All right, brother. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Real good, actually. We're
Yeah.
good.
Did you win again today?
We did not get to play today because all that rain we had yesterday. When I got to the ballpark this morning, they shut us down just because the fields were a little wet yesterday. They were playable,
Yeah.
but with the water we had dumped on us last night, it shut it down for today. So no games today, just games yesterday. But it was a great weekend. I'm super blessed to have great partners. You, Mike Mahoney, in particular this weekend. With you guys being there to take the reins of the show, the helm, and just lead the shows. It's nice on the weekends that I don't have radio because I can just relax. I just get to go do whatever it is I have scheduled, and I don't have to worry about anything. I listened to you on the radio yesterday on the way to the ball field, and you guys did a great job. You sounded great, as always. And then I listened to Mr. Mahoney this morning, leading that ship, and he did a great job. So I'm really blessed to have such great partners. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no worries, man. It was a lot of fun Saturday. Had our Florida Guides Association board members in there. I keep getting these two mixed up. Bobby Woodard and Charlie Howe. It was a lot of fun. I did that on the radio twice. Kept getting their two names switched up, so I was embarrassing. I'm glad I'm continuing that trend. But it was a good time, and we talked a lot about a lot of different things, and time flew by, so it was good. And then this morning, it was really cool listening to Mahoney talk to who did he have as a guest this
Frankie
morning?
Frank
Leto. Yeah, he was a really good guest, and he was very knowledgeable.
He was a good guest.
I tried to reach out to him today to talk more about the hunting thing he was discussing with FWC and the duck hunts and rallying birds, because at the FWC meeting we have the Florida Guides Association has opened a branch of hunting guides. So now Travis Thompson is our hunting guide regional director for the state of Florida for the Florida Guides Association. And he was there with a representative from Delta Waterfowl. And not being a huge hunter myself, I was kind of schooled at the FWC meeting real quick. I felt like I was in a 2-day seminar on all things hunting and hunting advocacy. And I learned all about rallying birds and why it's not good. And that was funny. Frank was talking about that on the show this morning. So it was real interesting how it all tied together.
Yeah, they talked a lot about alligator hunts and a bunch of different stuff this morning, and it was very interesting. It was a good show. So
yeah,
because of the weather, I got to listen to more of it than I was supposed to get to listen to. But yeah, it was good stuff for sure. We're so blessed here in Florida because if you're an outdoorsman, and I say the word outdoorsman meaning, not just an angler or somebody that enjoys, the great fishing here, freshwater or saltwater. But if you love the outdoors and you like to hunt and fish, this is such an incredible state with so many opportunities. I mean, with the waterfowl and the hog hunts, the alligator hunts, the deer hunting, it's just a really, really special place. So we're pretty fortunate to live here. It's if you're an outdoor, it's a great state.
What's so cool about Florida too, and I've mentioned this to you on our radio show too, is the fact that the fishery is so different. Like, I'll never forget at a very young age, I think it was like maybe 10, 12 years old, my dad and I did a charter over in Cape Canaveral area, and we were drift fishing for mutton snapper with 15, 20-foot leaders and a drop lead, which is, no one would ever do that on this coast. We were only 2.5 hours from home, but the fishing we were doing was exact same. It was exactly like our charter boats. We cruised out there at 14 knots. We were fishing 15 miles from shore, but the technique that we used was 100,000% different than we would have used here, only 2.5 hours away. And that same thing holds true for even inshore fishing, the different lures and the different approaches. And Florida is just such a big state with so many different estuaries. It's crazy. And you get the benefit of fishing all that on your TV show.
Yeah, and the north and south of it. The
Yeah.
north and south of it is what makes it so unique. I filmed a show in Destin a couple years back with Captain Lionel James, who's I hope I get to introduce you to him at ICAST, because if you haven't met Lionel, he's this bigger than life personality, just a phenomenal guy, tons of energy and just this big smile on his face all the time. I love being around the guy. And he invited me up to Destin, and I can't remember what month it was, but I know that it was calling for it to be like, 30 and 40 degrees in the mornings
Nope, not getting on the
in
boat.
Destin. And I was headed there, and I'm thinking, like, dude, our redfish don't eat when, we get some crazy cold like that. They don't eat. And he was like, Mike, we get that cold a lot.
Yeah,
Just
this
some
ain't
fish.
Tampa.
We'll catch them. I'm like, really? I mean, and if you think about that, the diversity of the fishery from the Panhandle to the Keys, the difference in those fish and the water temperatures and all those variables, the differences in the estuaries is incredible. And he was right. I mean, the first day the bite was a little slow, water gin clear, light wind. Second day it was howling out, but boy, we got on giant schools of redfish on the beach up there that were phenomenal. And every time I threw a bait in them, a big old giant Strike King plastic, we caught another 35-inch redfish. I mean, it was incredible. And he was right. So I mean, that's really unique to have all of that. Jacksonville is so much different than Destin or Panama City. Jacksonville is
brown water.
Yeah. Oh, it's just giant marsh with 6-7 foot tides. I mean, it's crazy, the fisheries. And then you go to a place like Mosquito Lagoon where there is no tide. The only thing that changes the water depth is the wind. I mean, seriously, and it's you run down to Key Largo where I fish tournaments out of Key Largo, and the red fishing in Key Largo is it's okay, but it's not great. You really got to run all the way over to the Everglades to get on a good redfish bite, which is a crazy run through all these little troughs between these islands with and they don't even have markers, dude. They have these little posts that stick up in the air. They're like a foot and a half, 2 feet out of the water, and an arrow. The little arrow, a little pointy arrow on the top of it, telling you what side to be on. And the whole time I'm running these things in my flats boat, I'm thinking, if anyone's coming the other direction, because I can't see around this little cut here, if anybody's coming the other way, we're all going to die because there's only room in this little trough for one boat. So, I mean, the diversity and the amount of different places that you can fish and different types of fishing you can do for the same species at different water temps and different times of the year in Florida, it's really incredible. It really is.
We're super blessed for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on here in Tampa Bay this last week? I know I heard from Captain Jim Fogel, or not Captain Jim, but amateur charter captain Donald Waberman, about how you were out fishing with him and you guys were stroking a bunch of snook. So what are you seeing out in the water this past week?
You know what? I give Donald a lot of credit because the guy's really good to me. Because the last thing we did on Friday was stroke them.
Oh, really?
Friday we struggled a little bit. Now we caught some snook and I was sitting on them. If you would throw a batted chum in there, Dylan, it was incredible. We would see these snook were coming out of the water chasing bait.
Yeah.
And we caught 8 or 10 fish all morning. I mean, I really had to grind for them. And I felt bad because I didn't want to leave. I kept thinking, God, we're sitting on all these fish and sooner or later they're going to turn on, but they really didn't. And I think it had to do a lot with that big supermoon. Yeah. We had so much water pushed in the bay. We had some west wind just prior to that big supermoon. That pushed a lot of water in the bay, which we were already, scheduled to have big tides. And I think that just made it tough. I think they ate all night really, really well. Yeah. And the day bite just wasn't great. I don't have another trip. Tomorrow I'm off. I got some work to get done on the truck, and I'm going to fish again Tuesday. And looking at the tides this afternoon, our tides are really starting to peter out a little bit. That full moon was on Wednesday last week. So Tuesday this week, we're almost a week beyond the moon. and them tides are really starting to slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to target that snapper bite.
Oh yeah,
The
I've
one
heard it's been fire, huh?
It really has been fire. It's been really, really good. But when I'm around the moons and the tides are strong, I don't snapper fish a whole lot unless I just happen to be at the right place at the right time on the change when you're on that slack tide.
It's hard to get them. When the water's moving, it's hard to feel the bite.
Well, and it's hard to get them to come out and play, especially when we had that super moon. We had so much water moving. Yeah. It's hard to get them fish to come out of the structure and eat because they just got to do too much work against that tide. But as these tides flow,
they do the same thing offshore. They put their nose into the tide. So if you get a really strong tide, those mangroves will sit behind the structure, nose into the tide, and just chill there. You got to get the bait right in front of them for them to eat, and it's very tricky to do when the water's moving super heavy.
Yeah, very tricky. So I think that we're going to have some luck on the snapper bite here this week coming up. Would be my guess. Obviously, I've only got Tuesday to fish because we're going to be at ICAST. The big fishing convention is this week when we get to see all the new products and all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to spending some time with you. We got all that nonsense, but I think the bite's going to get right. I really do. The only thing that makes me nervous is, and it's something we don't talk about a lot, is the salinity levels in the bay. And I think that with the amount of rain we've had here just in the last 3 or 4 days,
I'm excited. Me personally, I looked at the water today and it was dark green, almost turning brown on that hard outbound, and I was like, finally, lots of rain means a little cooler water temperatures in the bay. And for me, being an offshore fisherman and totally focused offshore, all that means is my big shrimp should be returning this week. Because the shrimpers always say July 4th, the shrimp get really small in the bait shops because of the warm water near shore. And once it starts raining really heavy and that fresh water starts mixing in the bay, that's when those shrimp start coming back on those near shore flats and shallower water flats, and the shrimpers can start getting them again. So I'm hoping and praying that lower salinity means the big shrimp are starting to return, hopefully.
Yeah.
There's the positive side of what you're about to say.
Yeah, I hope that's true as well. And I don't listen, to me, the salinity change isn't a bad thing because of what you just said. All that rain, all that fresh water influx is going to cool that water temp, which is part of what we need. One of the toughest things about the summer bite is that the water temps get really high and the fish get lethargic. So it's nice when you have those. If you have a full day or two of just cloudy, kind of drizzly, kind of what we would consider, crappy weather, the day 3 and 4 of that week is usually pretty good because that water temp has come down some, and those fish get a little more active. So I think that's what we'll see here. We've had enough fresh water here flow into the bay that salinity shock, that change of the salinity isn't going to be there. And I think, especially the mangrove snapper, I think they're going to fire off. I think that bite's going to be really, really good. We'll still catch our snook along the beaches and in the passes. Some of those outer edge flats should still fire off. I haven't seen a lot of big trout around, which isn't very surprising for this time of year. Again, it's super, super warm. There's still some out around the passes as well in some of the deeper holes, but it's not normally a time of the year that we see a lot of big trout. I'm really anxious to see what happens with the mackerel bite. Yeah. The Spanish mackerel bite's been a little off on the beaches and up in the bay. Not that they're non-existent, because they're not, but it just hasn't been great. So I'm anxious to see.
We haven't seen that hardened down mackerel bite at all this year. Even in the spring, we didn't see that big run.
I know. I'm anxious to see if that bite picks up or exactly what happens with that. So we'll see there. But I'm expecting Tuesday to be still a pretty good bite. And again, then the rest of the week, I'm at ICAST doing our ICAST thing. And then hopefully by the time we get into next week, we'll be pushing towards that new moon and things will pick right back up.
I like it. Well, I appreciate it, brother. You have a good night, and I'll see you Wednesday morning.
Wednesday morning early, my brother. All good, my friend. Have a great Monday and Tuesday. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right, man. See you. What's up, Frank? How you doing? We're going right back-to-back callers tonight. We've got Captain Frank on the line with us here and talking fishing. But Frankie, you've been doing well on those 10 hours, right? We're moving inshore. We were just on the phone with Mike.
This is a fishing calling show?
Yeah, it's a fishing calling show.
Jeez. I got that.
Did you dial the wrong number? You were trying to
I
order
did.
pizza.
I was going to say that. You just beat me to it.
Knew it.
Yeah. So we've been doing pretty good. We have been. Today was weird and difficult, but I haven't had very many difficult 10-hour trips lately. Fishing's been really good out there, but I guess with this the weather that was out there, it kind of gave me a few problems, but I plan on getting right back on them in 2 days on Tuesday, so looking forward to it.
There you go.
Redemption.
Well, Frank, our inshore call with Captain Mike ran a little long here, so we're overdue, if you will, to give away our first free trip of the night. So hang on 1 second. We're going to do that real quick. First free trip of the night, we're going to give away our 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Since we got Captain Frank on the phone, we're going to do the 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Let's see who the lucky winner is. Gary Camage. Congratulations, Gary from Michigan, on that 10-hour all day for 2 guests win. Remember, you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip. You do have to text us right here your full home address in order to claim that free 10-hour trip for 2 guests. We also got the 5-hour trip for 2 guests in the Salinity Gear gift pack and the 39-hour trip for 1 coming soon. So stay tuned, y'all. But Frank, as you were saying, you had a little bit of a struggle today on the 10-hour, but overall, you guys have really been doing well, still getting a lot of lane snapper, right?
Yeah, lots of lane snappers and vermilion snappers, and we got a nice handful of those today as well in the morning. But as soon as those first rain drops started hitting us, man, it was shut down on us.
That's weird, man. They said the same thing about the 39-hour trip. Captain Dave said they had a really good night bite, and the day bite was pretty steady. And as soon as around midday rolled around, they started getting rained on, and the bite just kind of totally shut off, which is kind of unique.
Which is weird because it's never really been a thought or a problem. You know, we always say the fish hide under the boat because they're already wet. You know, that kind of deal.
Because normally they bite pretty good through the rain.
Yeah, it doesn't really stop them, but whatever it was today was. Man, I haven't done that many stops in quite some time. We just, I was just hunting for a spot where they would feed for us, and I ended up even coming in to try to get some of the gray snappers and hogfish, and man, it was pulling teeth. I did like 5 stops, and we caught 5 fish, and then we ended up the last 45 minutes just doing some drifts, and it's definitely saved the day. I mean, we went from just having just a few fish in the box to, a little bit more of a respectable situation than what we were doing during the day. But I think everybody could see that we were trying for them, and they left happy because the last 45 minutes to an hour we tripled our fish count, and just a little bit of time, and sometimes that's what you need to do. I mean, you can. At least in the business we're in, we got to get some heads and tails in the box, and that's what we ended up doing. And we got some lane snappers on the drift as well, and a keeper grouper, which boosted some spirits because as soon as we started drifting, we got that right away, I believe.
Nice.
If I'm recalling correctly.
That's awesome, man. Well, Overall, lately, besides the tough day today, you guys have been doing mostly anchor fishing, catching a lot of lanes, a handful of those mangroves, vermilions, a couple of those nice red grouper overall, right?
Yeah, that's right. And we did bust out. We did get. I got lucky one day where we were able to have get a 12-hour charter in there. We really put the hammer down on some nice red snappers and shallow too, 110 foot, and we just blasted them. We had a great day, probably 30 keeper red snappers and six nice big fat red groupers and a few mangoes. It was a great trip. It was not a 10-hour trip. Like I said, it was a 12-hour, and I was glad to be be doing it. But yeah, our we've been getting a handful of red groupers on the 10-hour, and just like you said, the lanes, lots of lanes and railings, probably 300 or 400 every trip. And yeah, I'm just chalking this one up to the weather today. I'm planning on getting them on Tuesday. So
yeah, and going out again. Now I know you tried to do one of those like shallower water hogfish hunts, and didn't really end up working out because of the weather that day. Did you ever get a chance to try to kind of hit those hogfish spots lately?
no,
We've been still on those
I was going to today, and man, I'll tell you, and it's not your fault or anybody else's fault. The shrimp are just so tiny that they're it's a struggle to get a hogfish's attention. You can still get them. You can put 2, 3, 4 of them on there, and I know that when we've been giving our shrimp out, we've been throwing extra in the bucket to make up for, try to do our on our end, try to make up for it.
Yeah,
and we are getting some hogfish. It's just not as many as I would like right now. But
3 nice ones on the half day today. So and
yeah, they sure
size.
did.
Yeah. So I
sure
think we'll have a chance at them. I mean, this week we were just talking about it with Capt Mike. We've got so much rain lately. The water temperatures should be dipping down. We got a lot of kind of freshwater influx. So I think that should really help bring those bigger shrimp back into an area where the shrimpers can get them and bring them to us. So hopefully this week we'll see an increase in size again. But time will tell, right?
That would be great. And then maybe we'll section off a day to do that specifically. Maybe we'll do that once summer's over, where we get some more locals and regulars that are interested, that aren't, that are wanting to do that. Maybe we'll swing one of those trips here in the next month or two.
Sounds good,
next
brother.
month. So.
Well, anything to add before we wrap this up?
No, man, I'm tired. I need to get some sleep. We got to do it all again tomorrow and the next day and the next one.
I feel that resonates.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Thanks for calling in, Frankie. You have a good night, bud.
Yep. You guys have a good night.
See you, man. Always a pleasure to hear from our friends, Capt Mike and Captain Frank. Get a little Inshore and Nearshore update for the show there. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We got some time to get into your questions, but first we're going to give our t-shirt away, our t-shirt gift pack. This is a long sleeve Salinity gift pack giveaway. This is performance wear, long sleeve, either hooded long sleeve or just long sleeve, your choice. Salinity gear. Remember, if you're picked as this lucky winner, you have to text us your full home address and also your shirt size. And if you'd prefer hooded or just long sleeves. So long sleeve hooded or just long sleeve Salinity gear, gift pack, stickers, shirt, and some other stuff will be mailed to your house. We need your full home address, your shirt size, and if you prefer hooded or just long sleeve. All right, let's see who the lucky winner is of the Salinity gift pack giveaway. Michelle Johns from Dallas, Georgia. Congratulations, Michelle, with that lucky winner, win. Robert Holshouser, appreciate those 1,000 stars. Craig Robinson, appreciate those stars. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate your support. We're going to get into some of your questions now and answer some of your questions here in the end of the show. What's a great resource to learn fishing here? Grew up here, only caught catfish off the Dunedin Causeway. Back from Atlanta, Georgia after 25 years and ready to enjoy. I would like to think that our website and our live show is a resource to learn. We also have a fishing tips and tricks page on our website. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com and click under fishing trips, you can scroll down to fishing video links. You've got our fishing tips and tricks page. you've got our live stream show page, and again, you've got the Bass Pro Shops fishing seminars. So on the Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard page, these are all our live shows. So all the past live shows, there's 12 pages of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 results times 12. I don't even know what that math is. I'm not good at math, but that's a lot of hour-long shows on that page. Plus, if you go to the Bass Pro Shops fishing seminar page, there is 2 pages of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 results. So there's 30 hour-long fishing seminars there. So literally pages and pages of hour-long fishing seminars with lots of tips and tricks. Plus under the fishing video links page, we've got the fishing tips and tricks page, which is a bunch of kind of shorter, easier to digest, anywhere from 5 to 30-minute videos on different specific topics, from rigging to how to tie knots, to how to cut bait, to how to rig bait, to how to cook your fish, and different kind of conversations as well in between that too. So lots of resources on the website. What I would say probably the best resources locally, I would check out Saltstrong. If you go to saltstrong.com/Hubbard, so saltstrong.com/Hubbard, no S, just Hubbard, it gives you a kind of a backdoor to a special page that Saltstrong created. And if you sign up for a Saltstrong membership through that page, you get all the courses that Saltstrong and Hubbard's Marina produced, all of them together, and you get a free year membership. So it's like buy one, get 3 free. Really, really cool link and opportunity to join Saltstrong. They do like almost daily videos. They send out a ton of emails. They have an incredible amount of resources there too, way more than we do, and I think we have a lot. So definitely a great opportunity to learn more about fishing there too. Jason Richmond, appreciate those stars. Christina Hall with 3,000 stars. Appreciate you, Christina Hall and family. All of you guys come so often. Appreciate all your support, Hall family. Thank you very much. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Have you heard anything about getting some fads off the West Coast like they have up in the Panhandle area? And would you be in favor of that? So interesting question, and interesting you asked that. That's actually been brought up at a lot of our Florida Guides Association meetings, and one of our local charter captains, Captain Jason Stock, has been really pushing on that. Terry Farner, the brains behind the Suncoast Kingfish Classic, have been pushing on that too. And I know a lot of the people involved with the fads that were placed in the Panhandle. Captain Gary Jarvis was kind of instrumental in that. He's the mayor of Destin, Florida, and he was the president of the Charter Fishermen's Association that I sit on the board of. He was our executive director for a while too, pretty good friends with him, and he told me a lot about that project they had. A fad, for those of you who don't know what a fad is, it's called a fad, F-A-D, and it's a fish attractant device. A lot of people will make them from, like, you could take 4 pallets and zip tie them together and then hang a 12-foot by 20-foot tarp behind that fad with zip ties or duct tape and anchor that offshore in 1,000 foot of water. Super illegal, but people do it, and it basically attracts pelagic fish because it congregates bait and then attracts pelagic fish. And out of Okaloosa County and Destin area, they put 3 different fads kind of south and southwest and southeast of that pass. And it's been a huge success and drawn a lot of pelagic fish in. So it's definitely something Central West Florida wants to emulate. It's just very difficult to really kind of do that, unfortunately. But the feelers are out there and definitely working towards something. I think the most likely thing is the NOAA's National Marine Fisheries was exploring aquaculture. There was a bunch of lawsuits and a bunch of issues, and it got kind of taken out of NOAA's court. And the Department of Agriculture is looking at aquaculture, which is basically growing or farming fish in the Gulf. And they do that in a lot of places. They do it off the coast of Southern California. They do it off the coast of Hawaii. They do it in the Mediterranean area. They do it all over the world. Aquaculture is a big thing. But they don't do it in the Gulf of Mexico. But they're talking about 3 different areas off the coast of Central West Florida that could potentially be areas of opportunity for aquaculture. And these aquaculture opportunity areas, or AOAs, are working to be designated. If they're designated, that means aquaculture companies could come in and open a farm. And these farms are generally open to the public as long as they're not like working in the farm. And that means there's a cage floating in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico with a bunch of fish in it that they occasionally feed. So there's a huge fad that's created and a huge fish attracting device. It would congregate bait, it would congregate pelagics. You'd be able to fish up against and around it. It'd be anchored to the bottom, so there'd be an anchor superstructure that would be attracting fish and bait too. So those aquaculture areas could potentially be stellar fishing grounds like they are off of Hawaii. They do a lot of marlin fishing around those aquaculture farms. So would be interesting to see what comes of that. Can you fish the docks on Wednesday when the marina is open? You're always welcome to fish our dock as long as we are open. So if we're open, the gate is open, and we're not actively loading or unloading, you're always welcome to fish our dock. Let's give away another free trip. We got to do that 10-hour all day for 2 guests. So let's do our 10-hour all day. Oh, you're right. It's a 5-hour half day for 2 guests. We already gave away our 10-hour all day, so we're going to do our 5-hour half day for 2 guests. Coming at you now. Let's see who the lucky winner of the 5-hour half day for 2 guests is. Michael Britis. Congratulations, Philip from Pembroke Pines. Hopefully you and your better half are doing well. Good to see you guys watching the show. Hopefully everything's going well for y'all. We still have our 39-hour trip to give away too. Want to try to get in another couple questions here. I heard someone talking about our new webcam, and appreciate that. I'm glad you enjoy it. They mentioned how they want to see the Inshore area, the intercoastal area where the Dolphins play. That new webcam can actually turn, and it does turn. In the morning, it looks at the sunrise. In the afternoon, it looks at the sunset, and it does occasionally spin around for the boats coming and going, and it can look at the sandbar. It can look all over. So we're working currently. We have it already programmed to look at the sunrise, look at the sunset, look at the jetties, look at the Gulf. But we're currently looking to get it programmed to actually spin around by itself during the day too. Right now, it only spins around when I have time to log in and play with it, which isn't as often as I would like. But we're going to try to get it programmed to actually spin around too. So the dolphin action is something that can be seen from that new camera. So stay tuned to the John's Pass camera. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, click info, there's the webcams. There's 3 different webcams: the dock cam, the fish unloading, or the big fish weigh-in cam, and the John's Pass camera, which is at the top of the parking garage, and it can turn 365 degrees. So check it out, Janelle. Hopefully you appreciate it. and enjoy it, because I do. I have a lot of fun in the afternoon when those big storms are rolling in. I'll log in there and watch the storms roll in and see the lightning. It's pretty cool. Do we know when Red Grouper is closing? Interesting, because I made that announcement, and then I've had a lot of questions about it and a lot of follow-up questions, especially because they sent that email out about how Red Grouper catch level was being increased. So yeah, I've gotten a lot of questions about it, and I actually sent an email inquiring about it with someone who would be very apt to know, the man in charge of signing the orders for closures, and he is in a very political position, so he can't come out and say X, Y, or Z, but he's very good at kind of giving answers without giving answers. And long story short, most likely that closure will happen before the fall. So what does that mean? Fall is October-ish. So I would assume probably by September, late August, September, we'll see that Red Grouper closure. They did say they're going to try to give as much notice as possible. I would expect probably 2 to 3 weeks notice. The Wave 1 landings were super high. Wave 1 is January, February. Wave 2 landings were low. So January, February is Wave 1. March, April is Wave 2. So Wave 3 is May, June. They won't get those Wave 3 landings until end of July. And then it takes like a month for QA, QC, or basically quality assurance and quality control. So end of July, they receive them. End of August, they're reviewed. So by end of August, if they're trying to give us a lot of notice, 2-3 weeks, I would say a very educated guess says that most likely that closure would be announced for end of September, maybe the 3rd or 4th week of September, or September, October, or early October would be my very educated, somewhat informed guesstimate of Red Grouper closures. But I don't know. It could, the Wave 3 landings could be soft too, and then they could all of a sudden let it go until end of Wave 4. So you never know. Is a Daiwa Saltist 4000 a good 10-hour reel? Yes, for sure. On a 10-hour trip, I'm going to bring a spinning reel in the 3,000 to 5,000 range, and then also bring around a 4/0 reel in a 40 to 50 pound class range. So that way you could also use the lighter spinning reel for some of the shrimp and targeting the hogfish, mangroves, lanes, smaller baits, knocker rig style, and then the 4/0 conventional with the fish finder rig with the live baits and the bigger dead baits for a chance on bigger fish, like bigger mangroves, bigger grouper. One comment on Facebook that I really want to reference is what's the rules on feeding dolphins? If you are caught feeding a dolphin, you're going to federal prison. It is no joke. That is a marine mammal. So dolphins, manatees, any sort of marine mammal, if you're caught harassing, touching, feeding, or in any way altering their behavior, federal prison, not jail, federal prison. Huge fines. They'll take your boat, they'll take everything from you, and then they'll put you in federal prison. So they do not play when it comes to manatees. I know somebody who touched a manatee with a rod tip and lost his boat, trailer, and truck, and was put into prison and had to pay fines to get out. So literally touched a manatee with his rod tip. I know someone who shoot a pelican. Pelican came up and was eating bait out of his bait bucket and went over and shooed the pelican away with his rod tip. Had to spend a year in jail and ended up getting out of it after he hired a lawyer and spent like 15 grand fighting that case because the pelican was eating bait out of his bait bucket and he shooed the pelican away with his rod tip. be careful out there, guys. Fishermen are losing access, and we are guilty until proven innocent when it comes to animal interactions. And I preach that daily on our dock because we'll have young anglers out there fishing on the dock, which I love. But occasionally they'll hook a fish and they'll be hoisting it over, and a pelican will try to grab it. And these kids immediately trying to pull the fish away from the bird, and their buddies are trying to get the bird away. And I'm like, whoa, everybody calm down, take a deep breath, and think about how the people above you on the boardwalk are perceiving your actions. You're trying to be a good person, and you're trying to keep that bird safe by shooing them away. But the way you're trying to scare that bird away can be perceived as harassment. And everybody has a smartphone now. So they pull out a smartphone and they get a video of you trying to shoo that pelican away with your rod tip. All of a sudden, you're spending your 19th birthday in jail as your parents are hiring lawyers, or you're hiring a lawyer to fight that case. So be careful out there, guys. Do not feed a dolphin, ever. Do not turn your hose on and give it to a manatee. I can't tell you how many employees and staff members I've had to yell at because they see a manatee and they instantly run and turn on the hose and stick it in the water to try to get the manatee to stop. Super illegal. Incredibly illegal. Federal prison. Do not play with any marine mammal or seabird, or you're asking for it. Let me tell you. All right, we are extremely out of time, guys. We've got our supporters after show coming up at 9:55. If you're not a supporter, you should be. It's a lot of fun. You get private access to the private supporters group where you get a lot more one-on-one kind of communication, behind the scenes stuff. Plus, you get the supporters after show and a lot of cool other benefits. It's only $4.99 a month, so definitely worth checking it out. And a huge shout out to those supporters for making this show and all the cool stuff we do possible. Big shout out to all those of you who sent stars tonight, which is another great way to show your support for Hubbard's Marina and our live shows. And then also those of you who have asked questions, texted in your questions. Really appreciate that too. And hopefully you enjoyed the show tonight. I apologize we didn't get a lot of time for questions, but we had a lot of good conversations with our callers tonight, and we'll try to get through your questions here tonight and into tomorrow. Also, a huge shout out to our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle. This show was brought to you by Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't checked them out, make sure you stop by. Tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. Also, give a shout out to our other friends and sponsors over there at Real Animals Radio Show, our partners at Real Animals. Garmin Electronics, Yamaha Outboards, Bass Pro Shops, Engel Coolers, Salt Strong, Aquatic Nutrition, Sport Fishing Chums. Check those people out, all good friends and partners. Also, don't forget to check out Hubbard's Marina on TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, Facebook, the Nextdoor app, Fishbrain, Waypoint TV, Trovo, and Twitch. Really appreciate it. We'll see all of you guys next week, same time, same terrible show, Sunday nights, 8:30 p.m. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully we'll see you next week. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. Let's see who our lucky winner is of our 39-hour fishing trip. For one lucky winner, Dan Black. Congratulations, lucky Dan Black. That 39-hour win. You got 5 minutes or less to prove you're watching the show live. Dan Black from Terra Verde. Congratulations, buddy. We'll see you all next week for another episode. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. We'll see you on the Supporters After Show, 9:55 p.m. Be there or be square. Y'all have a good night. Tight lines. We're out.